You are watching Ask the Instructor. Absorb the knowledge. Become the expert.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, to help you guys understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is systematizing your sales process. So it really helps you really build a predictable business, and not a predictable in a bad way, but a predictable in a way that, okay, if I do this, that'll have this end result. So really, in math, they stress formulas all the time that, okay, use this formula so you get the correct end result. Well, this is really building your business into a formula so you could get whatever that end result it is that you want here. So we're really going to start kind of almost like if you imagine looking at a globe and then zooming into a particular state, then the particular city, then the particular street that you're looking at. We're going to take that higher level approach, really looking at this from a distance and then moving kind of into the details. So we've got our, let's start, you hear the phrase all the time, start with the end in mind. So whatever it is that your end in, one of our most recent episodes we did, you might have caught it, was about really figuring out what it is that you want out of your business, out of life even. And so if you're not really quite sure what it is that you want, what level of income it is that you need for the life it is that you desire, or what the numbers are behind that, go watch that video, because then you'll be able to really make this a lot more real. But let's just say that we'll leave it up to you. You put down whatever it is that you want. We'll fill in an example here in a second. But ultimately, the end goal, it's going to be some sort of number, whether that's a dollar amount, a certain dollar amount of volume, or dollar amount of gross commission. It could be a number of transactions. Maybe you're, rather than trying to get a certain dollar amount, you're just trying to close so many transactions. And this would probably be a little bit more worthy pursuit when you're first starting out, rather than the money. And this is how a lot of agents really start getting some business and start putting things together, is they're just worried about getting as many transactions as they possibly can. And then you get better over time. You're able to negotiate higher rates as you become more experienced. You're able to convey yourself more professionally because you're more experienced. So rather than just focusing on the big dollar at first, try to focus on helping more people. But that's really what the end result is. It's either some sort of number, either a dollar amount or a number of clients, a number of transactions, something like that. And that's ultimately going to be what that end goal is. And maybe this has to do with, okay, maybe your goal is to hire an assistant. Okay, that's what does it take to make sense of an assistant? How many transactions? What's the dollar amount that we need to get an assistant? And you could build out this process and this strategy for really any part of your business, again, on a smaller scale. But again, really zooming out to the biggest full scale of this. Ultimately, we want some number of transactions, some dollar amount, and we're going to start with basically nothing. Imagine we're starting with nothing. Maybe let's say that we're legally qualified. So we've got all the moving parts in place. We've got a broker. We're maybe part of the Association of Realtors, the MLS, and all the other tools it is that we need. Now, aside from that, in our day-to-day business, what is the start? We know the end is us closing transactions, closing a certain number of transactions, getting a certain dollar amount in commission. Where does it start? Well, it starts with obtaining leads. And then where do those leads come from? Well, then we could reverse engineer this even further to maybe your sphere of influence. This could maybe be coming from ads. This could maybe be repeat business. This could maybe be a mailer that you're doing. Maybe you're doing door knocking. Maybe you held open houses. Whatever it is, somehow, some way, you're getting leads and you're moving them through into the closing process. And this is where this might start to diverge depending on what type of client this may be. You may have a buyer, or maybe a seller, or even maybe a renter. And I know a lot of agents that when they get a lead that They thought it was going to be a buyer, but turns out they just want to rent real estate. They don't actually want to buy real estate. I know a lot of realtors out there are like, oh man, and look, I get it. It's easy to get disappointed when you're thinking you might be making thousands of dollars to maybe a few $100s on maybe some sort of rental. And you could maybe get a little bit higher of a commission on a rental depending on where they ultimately end up renting. A lot of like luxury new developer apartments will pay pretty hefty commissions just for you bringing them a tenant. But even if it is just one of the houses maybe that they're renting, that a private landlord is maybe only paying a couple $100, maybe even $50 only, that's why agents might get frustrated with the rental. But what you've got to keep in mind is this person renting, now granted, they could rent forever. That is a possibility, but do they want to rent forever? And is that what's going to really happen? Or are they going to someday become a first-time buyer and they just need to know how to become a buyer? Maybe they're already ready to become a buyer now. They just don't know the process and the steps. So again, really the first part here is identifying the potential clients you might come across. If you do property management as well, maybe that's something you add up here into this. The other side of the rental, the property management, where you're working with landlords. But that's usually more involved, so if that's not part of your business, I wouldn't put that up here. Maybe you refer that out, maybe you get some sort of agreement with another broker that does property management or something like that, but we'll just leave that out of the plan now. And maybe even the rental. That might be something that's not part of your plan, but if you don't have already a constant stream of buyers and sellers, I would make that part of your plan. Remember, you want to try to get the numbers. That's what you want to focus on. I'm not going to take the dollar amount off of this here, and don't even worry about the income, just worry about the numbers. Worry about the amount of people that you could help, the amount of transactions you could close, the amount of appointments you could go on. Because if you do those things, if you get more leads, if you get more appointments, if you get more people, if you get more closings, you will get more money. And all of these smaller activities, getting the numbers up, are going to help you ultimately get that larger number down the road, that big dollar amount of the commission check that you're ultimately looking for there. But you've got to get these little details in place, and there's so many activities that lead up to that sale. That's why those commission checks are so large, is there's so many activities to be carried out. And you've got to remember, when you cast a net, you're not going to catch everything right there that moment. So imagine a fisherman casting a net out into the ocean. They cast this out there, and they're only grabbing a small part of this ocean, and there's only going to be maybe a few fish that come in. And what happens though? You just throw it back out there and you keep doing it again and again and again and again and again. And when people are ready, if you keep people around you, if you keep people in your sphere, once you start to establish a lead, whether they become a client and you're now trying to get them to become a repeat client, or maybe this is just somebody that you've never done business with, but you know that someday that opportunity is going to be there, what you need to make sure you do is keep these people around you. Stay influential on the subject of real estate with these potential clients or past clients for future potential business or referral business and all of that. Again, you want to have these activities. Don't even worry about the closings. Just worry about, first and foremost, getting people to know that you're an expert in real estate. Now, how do you help solidify that idea that you're an expert in real estate? Well, it doesn't seem like you're much of an expert when you're talking about selling a house and you don't even own a house. None of that stuff will relate to somebody. If somebody is a renter, they're a potential buyer, maybe they're a first-time home buyer, and you're telling them about selling their home, they're not going to connect with you because you're talking about something that's irrelevant to them. That's why when you have a face-to-face conversation, you ask, well, how can I help you? Well, what are your real estate goals? What are you trying to accomplish in real estate? That type of question, so you can know at least here at the very base, and this is super basic, so I won't spend too much time on this, but just to know whether they're a buyer or a seller, basically. So yes, it starts out with there, but then let's say they are a buyer. Are they maybe a first-time buyer? Do they own currently, or do they not own currently? So categorizing these here and segmenting, that's really what we're trying to do here. We're trying to segment. Because if you want to systematize this process, if you want your sales process to be systematized, it's not going to just be an easy 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You're not just making like hamburgers at McDonald's here. This is a lot more complicated than what we do. So there's going to be a lot of spokes, and this is going to be a big, crazy web depending on what type of clients it is that we work with and how we could segment this. Now, when we segment, we don't want to segment too small. You don't want one or two people in this segment because now you're having a one-to-one conversation, basically. There's nothing that you're repeating across the masses. But let's just take this first-time home buyer example here. There's a lot of people we could easily put into that first-time home buyer segment, and they need, for the most part, a very similar set of information of what to expect, about what programs might be available to help make this a reality, to make this dream a reality. Whereas if they currently own a home, you're just going to frustrate them talking about first-time home buyer programs because they're not a first-time home buyer. And that's why I maybe threw in here also this third category of where they don't own currently, that they're a buyer who doesn't own currently, who is also not a first-time home buyer. That would probably be the smallest segment out of this here because most people are going to either already own real estate or just be a first-time home buyer. But then you have that smaller segment of people that do not currently own, but they wouldn't be factored into that first-time home buyer type of situation. Maybe they just moved from out of state and they've been living in an apartment for the past few months here while they look for a new home because they just moved to Tampa or Florida or wherever it is that your market is. So again, the goal here is to segment this, to understand first and foremost what information do they need. Now, the rental side, do they want to buy? Are they interested in buying? Because if they are, well, then we could reuse this same first-time home buyer type of thing. Because really, these two would be the same segment. The only difference really being is the motivation level. Because these two segments here, somebody who is a buyer, but they're a first-time home buyer, meaning that they're currently renting, the only difference between this and the person that is wanting a rental is this person has said, hey, I want to buy. So this is going to be probably a little bit higher motivation level than somebody who initially inquired about renting. But maybe once you start talking to them, maybe this person ends up being even more excited about buying than the person who was already interested in buying real estate. So for the most part, this is going to be pretty much the same segment. There might be a little bit more at the beginning here of just kind of opening that door. It's like, well, hey, have you thought about buying? What was it that made you decide that you wanted to rent instead? What are those factors in that decision-making process? And that little bit there of understanding where they're coming from and maybe what's holding them back, you maybe open that door to say, well, hey, what if we could get your credit score improved to the point where you could qualify to purchase a home worth X amount of dollars? Would that be something that you're interested in? And would you be interested in that if we could do it in less than a year? Okay, great. So yes, even though they might be renting right now, this potential client, we've basically kind of put in place a timeline because they're probably going to sign a 1-year lease if they go rent somewhere. And you're basically setting up a timeline. Okay, look, let's get you in this rental for a year here, and during this year, we'll get you in touch with this credit repair specialist here. We'll help get your credit in good shape to where you can qualify for a mortgage or fix whatever the problem is. Maybe it's not necessarily about credit. Maybe this is a self-employed person and for documenting their income, maybe that gets a little bit complicated. This is where you start to involve your team of experts that are there to help people. And that's something that could be part of your needs to be part of your process. You need to have a team of good people around you that are able to answer these more in-depth questions about the areas that are not of your expertise. Now, you might know a lot about mortgage lending, but hopefully the mortgage lender you'd recommend is going to know significantly more than you do. Because otherwise, why are you recommending them if you know more than them? So you want to surround yourself with people that are more intelligent in these spaces than you are, so that way you could kind of have this whole tag team thing, which we're tag teaming to help make this person's dreams a reality. To figure out, okay, what are all the strings that we need to pull and put together and get everything lined up. Home buying can be a very complicated process. Or it could be extremely easy for the buyer and then complicated, but even not so complicated for us as the professionals because we do this on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, so figuring out what's the information that you need, who are the people that you need to involve here? Because maybe this person that wants to buy, they can't buy because maybe the issue they have is with their credit and they need to get their credit repaired. Well, hey, there's a whole industry of credit repair specialists who are you might have even been contacted by some before. Maybe you are one yourself. There's all kinds of like multi-level marketing companies and things like that out there that all do credit repair. And from at least results that you might see online, it seems like they could do this stuff. So if you've got a client that's got an issue, figure out what resources are available out there that they might not know about that you could connect with them. So again, in the long term, you could count on business here. And so what you're trying to do is line up as many ducks in a row as possible here. This client, they're another duck. Now, this duck is way at the end of the line. They've got a year. They just signed a 1-year lease, and who knows, maybe by the time that year is up, they might not even be ready to buy at that point. Maybe they've been having a harder time getting their credit repaired, or they've been having a harder time documenting their income, or they're just not sure about their, or whatever the thing may be that's still holding them up. Hey, that's okay. Don't throw in the towel now. Well, hey, did you want to stay in your current spot, or did you want to look at some other properties that are available? I know your lease renewal is coming up. Oh no, we're probably just going to stay here another year, and then next year we're going to do it. Hey, oh yeah, that's great. So what do you do now? You stay in touch with them. You proactively initiate contact with them, so that way the next year rolls around, and really leading up to that, you're like, hey, so is the plan still the end of this year? And if they still say they want to do it, the more it is they say they want to do it, even if they're kind of on the fence about it, if they keep telling you they want to do it, eventually, guess what? They're going to do it. And if you stick around long enough, they'll do it with you. They'll buy their first home with you. But if you don't stick around, if you just say, yeah, call me when you're ready, somebody else is going to come in and give them the attention, the information, the education, the knowledge that they need to make this possible. So I know it's easy to get upset when you see another agent steal your client. Well, no, they just paid attention to them. They just paid. Now, if you were giving them attention and you're doing everything right, which look at it in hindsight and see if there is really anything it is that you can improve on. But look, there will be bad experiences out there. There will be times when, and usually in hindsight, when you look back on the experience, and this is going to be really important to improve this ultimate plan, is when things go rogue, when things don't go according to plan, when things fall apart, when you have problems, you have issues, when you get fired by a client. That'll probably happen to you at some point. Maybe not. Extremely lucky if you don't, but it probably will. That's just part of our business. And we want to try to do everything it is that we can to be proactive against these things, but sometimes we just can't predict for these unpredictable circumstances that will happen, whatever they may be. But the important thing is that you look back and reflect on it and get some takeaways of how you can improve on what you've done, maybe some tweak that you make here. And really, in this whole process, and we could really get granular with this, because if we're talking now about, okay, how do we educate our clients? How do we inform them of what's out there, what's available, what they need to do? Well, first you've got to segment them and understand what the information is that they need, because no one wants to sit there and channel surf basically through your YouTube or however it is that you might be trying to systematize this information for people. So when you identify, or somebody on your team identifies, as you grow this into a larger organization, you might have team members that say, hey, oh, you're a first-time home buyer? Well, hey, we've got a whole first-time home buyer series that shows you all the possibilities and opportunities that exist for a first-time home buyer. I'll go ahead and send that to your email inbox. And then you could track all this stuff with an advanced contact management system where you can see, okay, who's watching what videos, who's clicking on what. That technology is out there. Now, that's not technology I would worry about when you're first setting this stuff up and you're first trying to systematize things like that. You can use something simple like an email system like MailChimp, or if you've got some sort of website CRM package bundle type of thing, they probably have some way in there to send out emails to people and build out little pages. There's that whole phenomenon of blogging, and I say phenomenon because it really hasn't been growing like it used to. So it's, who knows, maybe it'll have some resurgence in the future, but looking back on the history now, it seems like blogging is on the decline. And I wouldn't say that it's necessarily on the decline, but people are more intentional about the information that they're seeking out, and they don't want to just read some random article. So blogging as it used to be when blogging first came about, where, you write an article about a neighbor or something like that, and you might say, well, John, no, it's not about them just reading systematically, it's about them searching online. Well, the thing is, if they're searching online, your article probably isn't going to be enough. Probably not enough to rank in search engine optimization settings. And also, if it does rank in a Google search result where you rank organically or you pay for ad traffic, and I might be using some terms here that might be over your head unless you've done search engine optimization before. But let's say that, okay, you make this blog article. If all it is an article, let's say they do make it on there, because that's the first problem of just getting them to get onto your blog and see these pages it is that you've spent maybe hours writing. So the first problem is just getting them on there, which the easy way to get somebody onto your website is just pay for an ad. Then you just exchange money for traffic on your website. Your content doesn't even have to be good and you'll get traffic there. It's just really a question of how much is it going to cost. So let's say you do have to pay to get people there. You don't want to pay to get people there just to read an article about a certain particular neighborhood or a community event that's going on. If you're using paid traffic, you want to ensure that you're able to generate leads off of that paid traffic, because why else are you spending dollars to get people to go on your website? You don't get paid for blog posts or anything. We get paid for selling houses. And so we ultimately want to use advertising to help us locate the people that we're able to assist. And again, you want to define out these segments. And again, we're using this first-time home buyer one, but let's throw some over here with the seller. So maybe the seller, and just like a buyer, hey, is this your first home? Is this the first time you're selling your home? Or has it been a really long time and it's like your first time that you're selling your home? Maybe you haven't sold your home this century. Maybe you've owned your home since the 90s or the 80s or maybe even before that, and so it's almost like it's the first time you're selling your home. Or maybe you're a pro, where you've actually done this a few times before. And you could have more granular distinctions. But you might also split this up for pros being like investors. Maybe you have investor clients who are going to be a completely different type of client with needing completely different services and information than you would a residential client of somebody that's just selling their home. And that person, again, just selling their home, is it the first time that they're doing this, or have they sold many homes before? But most people are going to fall in this where it's either the first time or it's been a while since they've sold a home. On average, it's like 5 to 7 years, but sometimes it's even longer than that. So you've got these first-time sellers, and now what information is it that's going to pertain to them? How do we educate and inform them to solidify the perspective that we are the expert in their area? We give them information about, hey, these are the things that are going to provide the most value for your home. I mean, there's all kinds of how-to videos online, all kinds of little do-it-yourself things. You could do maybe like a little how-to do-it-yourself video of how to, paint a wall, what are the best colors to paint, just things like that, that whatever value it is that you could provide to your clients to help them understand this process better. That's what you want to do. You want to provide information and content to try to help them be more informed about everything, to better understand. Because a more informed client, if it's done correctly, will be an easier client to work with, because you use all this marketing and information that you're providing to them to help avoid common mistakes and common problems and common misconceptions that people might have, so they don't go say, oh, we're going to sell our home, so we're going to go put in a swimming pool because that'll help our home sell for way higher. Well, yes, it will give a bump in the price, but the catch is probably not as much as you think. And definitely not as much as you spend. Almost always, putting in a pool is going to cost more than the value it adds to your home. Now, the pool company might tell you otherwise, but listen, from the real estate professional, that look, if you want to get a pool to enjoy a pool, go for it. Pools are awesome. Now, they cost a lot of money. It's not a investment where you're going to recoup your entire investment. It is an investment where you'll be able to recoup some of your investment. Because, for example, maybe it cost you $50,000 to have the pool put in, and it adds $30,000 in value to the home. So yes, it did increase the value of the home, but not to the level of what it cost you to put it in. And also you factor in maintenance. So just getting back to it, and that's an extreme example. Most people aren't going to put in a pool for the sole purpose of trying to get their home sold, because that one usually is a pretty obvious not a good investment. It's what we call an over-improvement. But again, if that's something that they're doing for their kids and their family to enjoy, well then, yeah, so be it. That's that's fine. And you will get some of that money back, just not all of it. And little things like that, maybe they go to put in new floors and they go get some fancy imported, way overpriced, and then they hire a company that's the best in the business that has the prices like they're the best in the business, and they spent, let's say, $30,000 or even $20,000 putting in these floors. And then you have to be the bearer of bad news saying, hey, well, these floors, they're only going to add $10,000 in value. So I know you said you spent $30,000 on them, but we're only going to probably get about an extra $10,000 from the floors. And they might be thinking, well, where were you when I put these floors in? Or no, they're going to think that, but they're not going to say that because then they'll just, it's not something they're going to verbalize. But that's where it's your job, it's your duty to help ensure that they don't make these mistakes. And how do you do that? Well, you got to get in front of them earlier. And how do you get in front of them earlier? Well, you figure out where the sellers are. Notice how we went so granular to this particular client. And what we're doing is we're reverse engineering this and really trying to, and when you experience problems in your business, when you have a transaction fall through, when you have something that isn't a pleasant experience, you can look at your plan and figure out, okay, what can I do to inoculate this problem? Big talk right now about vaccines and whatnot. And look, here's a vaccine that you don't have to worry about side effects or anything like that, and you make your own vaccine, you figure out what in your business is the problem, and you figure out the solution. And maybe this is something that you work into the marketing and the information that you're providing. Hey, 10 things you need to know before you make any improvements to your home to help improve the sale price. Something along those lines, so you stop these problems before they become a problem. And you vaccinate against these problems. And that way everything just goes smoother in your business. So look, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to wrap this up, bring all this together here, get this to the closing process. So stick with us. I'm John Christmo. You're watching Ask the Instructor.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. My name is John Christman. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, to help you guys understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And what we're talking about today is systematizing your sales process. And probably the biggest thing, or the biggest takeaway, I would say, biggest point I'm trying to make with this is to systematize your business, you have to segment. You have to segment down to, okay, are they a buyer or seller? Are they a first-time home buyer, or do they currently own a home? Because if they currently own a home, then okay, well, what about that current home? What you going to do with that? You want me to sell that one too? I could do that for you. I'll make you a nice deal if you do that, because we're going to make a lot of money then, because we now have a sale to help them sell their current home and then help them buy their new home. So that really puts you in a situation that actually does put, I would say, a little bit more burden on you, because you're trying to make sure that this is going to match up. That, okay, what we're doing here with the sale of their current home is going to be the right step to get them into this new home that is their next dream home. Because we don't want to mess this one up, because that could compromise this one, then we don't have anything, so we blow it all. But those are really lucrative situations, because again, now you're getting 2 transactions, and really you have double the opportunity to impress your client. And then when you have double the opportunity to impress your client, you're, I don't know how many times, improving your chances of getting good referrals from this client. but you provide them a great experience, and they're going to be more than willing to provide you repeat business. And that's really, I would say, what should be really the end goal here is get referrals so you could recycle this whole process all over again. And then your business turns into this cycle like a tornado or a hurricane that just grows and grows and grows and grows, and it continues to feed into itself. That's what you want to design your real estate business to do, because with that in place successfully 5, 10, 20 years down the road, it will be unbelievable what you could accomplish if you get your business to reproduce itself essentially. But as you go through this, you have the, I would say maybe again to really be general with the steps. So information and education, that's going to be at the beginning. And then maybe it moves into a consultation, where they say, maybe it starts out, when they start out as a lead, they might be saying, hey, I'm curious. I'm curious about selling. I'm curious about buying. I'm curious about renting. So we inform them. We deliver them information. We have a series of information we provide to them across multiple days, multiple weeks, multiple months, because remember, follow-up is extremely important. And at some point, they're going to request a consultation. Now, how do I know that? Because you're going to keep asking them, hey, are you ready for a consultation? Whenever you're ready for a consultation, just click the link below to schedule. You're like, oh, wait, I could set it up, or they could just schedule online? Yes. And when we're talking about systematizing your business, yes, this does also involve the use of technology. Or if you don't want to use technology, you can just hire people, but it's usually a little bit more expensive to hire people, and they usually don't like doing the same mundane task like saying, okay, yep, here's this. So there's technology available that could really make it a lot easier to scale your business than previously, because the technology that's out there is usually going to be significantly cheaper than the cost of personnel and employees to be able to carry out those same tasks. Now, once you start to grow into a larger organization, a larger operation, yes, you will need more people to help you grow this. But when you're starting out, the technology is a really great tool to leverage to be able to grow your business to the level where you can afford to hire a staff, to have a team. So, again, information that leads to a consultation, and the consultation is either going to loop them back into the information because they're not ready, they're not at the point where they're ready. So again, it goes back into the information, back into the follow-up, or they move into the appointment stage. And this could go varying lengths here depending on what they may be. If they're a seller, you might just have a few appointments before that turns into a closing. If they're a buyer, you're likely to have more appointments because you might be showing more homes and things like that. But ultimately, you have the appointments that lead up to the contracts, that lead to that end result of a closing, which will then lead to that ultimate end result of referrals. And every part of your business, you want to build this out, just almost like the level it was we were doing here. Okay, how can we segment? And again, don't try to segment too much. You want to have a large group of people. I mean, you might just start out by just segmenting your buyers and sellers, and you might only have 10 buyers and 10 sellers, or maybe not even that much. And at that point, you really don't need to worry about systematizing and segmenting, because you're just getting started with systematizing and segmenting if you have overall collectively 20 clients or 20 leads, let's say here. But that would be getting to the point where hey, look, you got to start figuring out and keeping track of this. Who's who? What do they want? This maybe starts with just a little notebook, maybe a little spreadsheet, and then you build that into something larger. You maybe get some CRM software to start managing this better. You maybe get email marketing software like MailChimp or something like that to be able to deliver messages to segmented audiences. And you use that to inform your potential clients and ultimately have the call to action. Every piece of content that you put out there should have a call to action. Why? Well, what's the point? What are you trying to get them to do? What is your goal behind whatever it is that they're doing? And it could just be something as simple, you see it online all the time, I'll say it on this show every now and then, is, oh yeah, like and subscribe. Which honestly, if you guys like and subscribe, that's great. Love that. But ultimately, if you want help achieving a real estate career, we want you to call us. That's our call to action. We want you to call us, visit our website, and you'll see that in all the marketing it is that we have. Now, when you're delivering information to a potential buyer, hey, schedule a consultation about what first-time home buyer programs are going to work for you, are available to you. Or again, you could be creative with this and figure out what works best for your potential audience, but you have that call to action that leads to the consultation. And in the consultation, you do some fact finding. You ask some questions to figure out what are their goals, what are the things holding them back, what are they most concerned about, what are the biggest things, the requirements that they want in their new home. And really, again, matching the same process with the seller. You're finding out what it is that they want from you, what it is that you could do for them, laying out the framework of how this will work, what the process is, so again, they understand this. This might even actually be part of the information, and even if it is part of your information stage, you still want to touch on that in the consultation, because yes, there are tracking systems out there where you can tell if they've watched a video, but even if they've watched a video or clicked on a page that had information about that, it doesn't necessarily mean they understand whatever it is that you had. But what you do is you prime them to be able to understand later. Because the first time you mention something, maybe it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But then maybe you deliver that information in a one-to-one consultation type of environment, and you're able to gauge where maybe their body language, their facial expressions of what they're leading on. Maybe just ask them the question, hey, does that make sense to you? Is that clear? Is there any questions you have on this? Really to make sure that they understand whatever it is that you need them to understand. Because that's a big process, a big part of this process here, is getting them to understand certain things. That's where a lot of realtors will have a lot of frustration with their clients because their clients don't understand. Well, it's your job to help them understand. So quit complaining about you doing your job bad and just help them understand better. And yeah, that's not the easy way out. It's easy just to complain about your client not understanding, but that's not going to get your deal closed any faster. And yes, I know it can be tough sometimes. It is difficult. And sometimes you don't just mesh with everybody, so this will be a challenge sometimes. Maybe more times than not. But you need to overcome that challenge, overcome that obstacle if you want to get to the end of this process here. So that's why you want to understand your process and systematize this so you always know what the next step is. I've got to do this, and then the next step is this. So you always know what direction it is that you're going. Because if you don't know what direction you're going, you have to stop and look around. And when you stop and look around, your clients will get away. Don't let them get away. Don't let them get off the track. Keep them on the process. Always know what that next step is. So you know, hey, well, this is the next step. This is the next step we take here. And you brief them on these steps in advance. Again, that's part of the sale process. Say, okay, so we're going to look at some homes here, or we're going to go through all these virtual tours, and then narrowing it down to X amount of homes into the ones it is that you're really most interested in. Then we go tour those homes. And then we might have to do some additional tours. And then the next step would be to make an offer on the property. And then the next step would be to negotiate that offer. So again, there's no surprises here. Because I've had clients before, earlier on in my career, where we'd make an offer, and you could tell that they just had the assumption that their offer would get accepted, that their offer was so great and so fantastic that of course it would get accepted. Why wouldn't it get accepted? And then when it doesn't get accepted, when they make a counter offer, they just reject the offer, they get emotional and they get mad because they had their hopes up that their offer was so good. So we have to do our job and our part of helping them understand that, hey, even if it is a great offer, they might say no for whatever reason. And even though this offer might be full price, there could be somebody offering above full price. Hey, that happens. Really? They might just not know. So when you preemptively, again, think of it again like a vaccine, that you're using this to vaccinate against future problems. You bear the bad news early and you just say, hey, well, this is a possibility. This could happen. And if it does, this is what we'll do in case that does happen. But if it doesn't happen, then, well, yeah, we'll have an accepted contract. Hey, when we make this offer, they might just outright reject it. Oh, really? You think they will? They could. I mean, this is a good offer, but I don't know what other offers they might already have. So it could get rejected. I just want to prepare you for that. Maybe they give us a counter offer if this isn't quite the number it is that you're looking for here, or best case scenario, maybe they do accept this. Now, how much better does that sound than, okay, yeah, I'll go take this over to the seller. I'll let you know what they say. You have no understanding of where your client stands and what they think about their offer. They could know that they're making a lowball offer, or they could think their lowball offer is a great offer. And if we went with that second variation there, where we don't even involve them in a discussion about what we're doing and what's going to happen next, we don't even understand where they're at and what they think about what this is. Because if we're not on the same page with them, that's where we clash, and that's where people will lose business. You clash with your clients, you will lose business. They don't want to do business with somebody that they can't stand. So your job isn't to debate your clients. Your job isn't to argue with your clients. Your job is to help your clients understand. And it's easiest to help them understand when you're doing it in advance. And you're just preparing them for those situations that could come up so they're not surprised. Because that's what people don't like. People don't like being surprised. Don't surprise them. Doesn't end well. So try to eliminate surprises, and that will make you look like a professional. Professionals don't get surprised. They just know what could potentially happen. And that's how you convey your professionalism. You say, hey, look, this is our process. This is what could happen here. If this happens, we'll do this. If this happens, we'll do this. We've got this backup plan here. And they like to see that you know what you're doing. And you know what all these steps are. Even if they don't remember all the steps and know everything, they just like to know that you know what you're doing and that you're going to be the person guiding them through this complicated process. And that's what systematizing your business will help you better do. It'll help you better understand your business so you understand where the bottlenecks are, where the problems are occurring, and where your business is breaking down and where you're losing business the most. So again, you could focus on those areas, give those areas a little extra TLC, a little extra attention to get them back to producing more results. And it helps your clients as well, because when you have a system, when you have a process, that's what a business is. That's why people trust businesses. Is they trust you to get the job done in the smoothest, most efficient way possible. That's what they're putting the trust in you. And by you informing them, of giving them the right amount of information, you're able to, again, move them through this process a lot more efficiently because they're more informed. So that's about systematizing your business. And again, you could do this for so many parts of it. Really remember, that's what a business is. A business is a system. It's a system of technology, of people, of data, of processes, and how they interact with each other. And the smoother and more efficiently they interact, the better the business is, the faster it could grow. The more chaotic the business is, the more loose ends, the more unpredictableness, you don't even know what you're doing. It's like you're steering in the dark with no headlights on in the pouring rain. You're just going to hope that you don't hit a tree. And so what do most people do? They're going to go slow. And they don't go as fast as they can. Whereas if you turn on the headlights, you turn on your windshield wipers, you have your GPS pulled up so you see the map, you go a lot faster than the person going 20 miles down the road with their flashers on because they can't see because they don't even have any headlights on. Don't be the leader of your business with no headlights. Turn on your headlights. Turn on the GPS. Get all these things that are going to help you guide your business in the right direction. But it's all about systematizing your business. And this is one of the topics that we talk about in post-licensing in the business planning sections. We talk about, again, planning your business, understanding this process and building a process around your business so you could build something that's repeatable and replicable. Because if it's not repeatable and replicable, it's going to be, you're starting from square one every single day if you don't develop a system that's repeatable and replicable. So don't start from square one every day. You'll never get very far if that's all you do. You have to systematize your business. So post-licensing, that talks about it. If you haven't even taken pre-licensing yet, call us up. We can help you get your real estate license and pass your exams on the first try. We've got a recommended strategy that it's 4 simple steps to break this down to be able to pass your exam on the first try. It's not a guarantee. We're not allowed to guarantee it, but it's a really powerful system that you will have good results with. Let's put it that way. So check that out at passfirsttry.com if you're interested in getting your real estate license. If you need to take post-licensing, get that knocked out as soon as you can, because not only will you gain information that's going to help you build your business, but you also won't have to worry about your renewal deadline when it eventually comes around here. So that way you don't have to worry about that as you're trying to get more business accomplished. So check us out online, tampaschool.com, or give us a call, 813-333-2676. If you like today's topic, if you like the content that we delivered to you, hit that like button so we know what information it is you guys are most interested in here, so that way, again, we can provide you the information it is that you want. You should do the same thing with your clients. If you're not already subscribed, hit that bell icon. Whenever it is we go live or post new videos, you'll get a notification so you don't miss out on any of this content we're delivering every single week. But that's all the time we've got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you on Friday for State of Real Estate. Hey, so if you're thinking about starting a real estate career, it could feel a little overwhelming sometimes. Look, that's completely understandable. That's why we're here to help. If you haven't already, check out our Success Center, tampaschool.com/success, or if you don't even know where to begin, give us a call. We'd love to help you out. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way it is that we can. Our phone number is 813-928-0106. Again, that's 813-928-0106. Give us a call. We're the Tampa School of Real Estate.
Do you want a career that allows you to be in control? With a career in real estate, you'll get to call the shots. Whether you're looking at starting part-time or want to become the next top agent, a career in real estate makes it possible. Find out what it takes at tampaschool.com. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Are you thinking about a career in real estate? Hey, I'm John Chrisma with the Tampa School of Real Estate, and we've helped thousands of people just like you obtain their real estate license. If you're thinking about a career in real estate, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way they can. Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.